Hi, my name is Christian Basnight, and you're watching Grand Slam Tennis News Today. Carlos Alcaraz has established himself as a true title contender for Wimbledon after picking up his first grass court title in Queens this past week after defeating Alex de Minaur 6-4, 6-4 in the final. Alcaraz earns his fifth tour title in 2023, tying Daniil Medvedev for the most trophy lifts this season. Carlitos also regains the world number one ranking, sending Roland Garros champ Novak Djokovic back down to number two. Despite being seated second at the All England Club, Djokovic will still be the huge title favorite as the seven-time champion and four-time reigning winner. Still, this week's results showed that Alcaraz will probably be Nole's biggest obstacle in London. Before Queens, things were not looking that bright at all for Carlitos on grass, as the Spaniard nearly fell in the opening round to 83rd ranked Arthur Rinderknecht. Alcaraz initially found it difficult to adapt his game to the grass, but he definitely found his footing, literally, as his footwork for one improved tremendously as the week progressed. Alcaraz attributed this to actually watching Federer and Murray's movement on the surface. He also accomplished his goal of adapting his game to the surface overall, actively using that killer forehand as a weapon. Carlitos also has tremendous net skills, and he isn't afraid to come in and even serve and volley, which is an effective play on grass. The serve was also crucial for the Spaniard as it bailed him out of trouble whenever his back was against the wall. Carlitos did a great job of maintaining a high first serve percentage while also winning a good amount of points off that first serve. I think this title completely solidifies the fact that Carlitos is really an all-surface player that can excel on clay, hard, and now of course grass. We have to remember that this is only Carlos's third pro grass tournament, and he's already shown exceptional promise for potentially winning Wimbledon in the future. Last year, Carlos wasn't able to get a good feel for the surface prior to SW19 as an arm injury prevented him from playing any grass tune-up events. Still, he managed to make the second week, falling to a tough Jannik Sinner. This time around though, he's fully healthy, high on confidence, and will likely have a better draw as the top seed. With Novak on the other side of the draw, I definitely think a finals run is doable this year. Just looking at the other top 5 players, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, and Ruud are all still struggling to find their form and footing on the grass. And then Jannik Sinner injured himself in Halle too. Anyways, Alcaraz himself says that being the top seed will not change that much, as Djokovic will still be the big favorite to claim the title. It will be interesting to see an Alcaraz-Djokovic matchup on the grass because, as we saw in those first two sets of the Roland Garros semifinal, Carlos does have the game to take down Novak, but does he have enough experience on the surface to best to serve? And then, of course, there are concerns about whether he can manage all the emotions that accompany playing a match of such magnitude, especially best of 5. I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see. Speaking of the Joker, Novak is currently training for Wimbledon and is already practicing his celebratory grass chew for potential Wimbledon title number 8. Nole hit with fellow Roland Garros champion Stanislav Wawrinka on the Wimbledon practice courts and will play in the Hurlingham exhibition alongside Alcaraz, Andy Murray, and Holger Rune, among others. Kazakhstan's Alexander Bublik also picked up a 500 level title this week in Halle after taking down Borna Coric, Jannik Sinner, Alexander Zverev, and Andrei Rublev to cap off the best week of his career. This is Bublik's second ATP Tour crown, which brings him to a career high ranking of 26 in the world. I'm just very happy to see Alexander back in the winner's circle because he's an incredibly talented player, and it's great to see him fulfill his potential, when he's finally focused. He has a reputation of losing his focus and goofing off a bit during matches, which can cost him those big wins. But this past week, he just showed his incredible skill. He has unbelievable instincts and anticipation skills, just knowing whenever opponents are going to hit certain shots. And his game just meshes so well with the grass court because his ability to kind of chip, hit those just drop shots, and just, like I just said, anticipate different balls. And you just saw how Zverev and even Rublev were just frustrated and just flabbergasted, not knowing what to do. If he maintains this level of play, he could do very well at Wimbledon. But players not named Federer who win Halle do not have the best track record of doing well at SW19, as they're pretty much all lose in the first round. Regardless, I hope Sasha can use this great win and continue to maximize his potential, because he really can be a huge star on tour if he plays his cards right. Transitioning to the women's side, Jelena Ostapenko prevailed in the Battle of the Rolling Girls Champions yesterday, defeating Barbora Krejcikova 7-6, 6-4 at the Birmingham Classic. This win marks Jelena's 6th tour title and second on grass after winning Eastbourne in 2021. Ostapenko really had to grind this past week, playing 4 consecutive 3-set matches up until the finals. One of those hard-fought victories came against legend Venus Williams, who pushed the Latvian in a 6-3, 5-7, 6-3 finish in the second round. Now, even though she lost that match, I have to take a moment and show my appreciation and admiration for Venus, because what she did last week was truly incredible. I don't care if she only played 2 matches. Those 2 matches were the biggest moments of the week. Literally, if you go by WTA YouTube channel views. For Venus to play just her second tournament in pretty much 6 months after barely playing tennis at all the past 2 years and beat the world number 36 and nearly take out a top 20 opponent on one leg and days after turning 43, I don't think y'all realize just how incredible that is. Like I said in the previous video, people were writing Venus off heavy after she lost her opening round match in Alabama weeks ago, but she elevated her level tremendously and served probably the best I've seen her serve in over 5 years, mind you, on one leg. Really, if Venus was just a bit more opportunistic and healthier, she could have won this match in straight sets, but it just was not meant to be. Venus did have a chance to run away with that match, being up 2-love 40-15 in the 3rd set, but she left the door open just wide enough for Ostapenko to take full advantage and come back. Still, with her being able to come back from match point down at 3-5 in the 2nd set to come back close to winning the match is a true testament to her grit, fight, and heart. People complain about Venus taking wild cards to tournaments, but with her endless contributions to the game and now this excellent Eastbourne showing, I hope those critics are a little bit more quiet. V did get a wild card to compete in the singles at this year's Wimbledon Championships, perhaps for the final time in her career, so I hope the tournament does right by her and gives her a proper send-off if it is the case that this is her last time playing at SW19. Of course, I want Venus to win as many matches as possible, but above all, I want her to leave the tournament healthy. Thank you once again, Venus, for allowing us to witness your greatness this past week. Speaking of veteran Wimbledon champions, Petra Kvitova picked up her 31st tour title after beating Donna Vekic 6-2, 7-6 to win the Berlin 500. Prior to this tournament, Petra hadn't won a match since claiming the Miami Open title back in April. Now, a player who's still in the trenches, but not really, is Maria Sakkari, who has lost her last 6 tour semifinals after losing to Vekic in the Final Four. Just a mess. Hopefully, 7 times the charm. Vekic, she also scalped Elena Rybakina in Berlin. And the reigning Wimbledon champion is a bit of a question mark heading into the championships, as she just pulled out of Eastbourne, citing an ongoing viral illness that forced her to withdraw from the Rolling Girls 3rd round. Fellow Big 3 player Anna Sabalenka also bit the dust in Germany, losing to Veronika Kudermetova. Meanwhile, Rolling Girls champion Iga Swiatek opened her grass campaign with a 5-7, 6-2, 6-love win over Wimbledon semi-finalist Tatiana Maria at the Bad Homburg Open. Swiatek, by the way, now has the most weeks at #1 among active WTA players at just 22 years old. Simply incredible. Bianca Andreescu, she also progressed to the 2nd round in Bad Homburg, narrowly escaping past 264th ranked Sonia Kartal 7-5 in the 3rd. Iga will be the favorite to take home her first grass court title, as her biggest threats, probably Elisa Cornet and Ludmila Samsonova, are in the other half of the draw. Meanwhile, at the Eastbourne 500, we have a few notable opening round matches. First, title winners Petra Kvitova and Jelena Ostapenko, who square off in the opening round on court 2. Just disrespectful. Jessica Pegula takes on Qinwen Zhang, which could be interesting, and then her doubles partner Coco Gauff, who's currently working with Qinwen's former coach Pereira, faces compatriot Bernarda Pera. Before I close off this video, I want to briefly highlight some exciting tennis projects that will be hitting the big screens. First is Zendaya's Challengers film, set to release on September 15th, a day after the US Open finishes. According to the film synopsis, Zendaya plays Tashi Duncan, a tennis player turned coach who's taken her husband Art and transformed him into a world-famous Grand Slam champion. However, Art ultimately suffers a losing streak, so Tashi signs him up to play a low-level challenger event. There at that event, they run into Patrick, Art's former best friend and Tashi's former boyfriend. The trailer reveals that the three characters were once involved in a love triangle. Around that time, Zendaya's character was a tennis prodigy before a knee injury cut her career short. Judging from the movie's trailer, it looks like it'll be okay, not anything too special. Zendaya's strokes look okay, also not the best. Definitely, I think they could have taken a page out of King Richard's book and hired, stunt doubles to kind of play Zendaya's parts in the important moments. But, hopefully this will bring more eyes in on tennis overall. I do wish that it would have had a greater focus more on the grind of rising through the Challengers Tour, but it appears to just be more of a rom-com type movie. Now, another tennis project was ironically announced around the same time of the Challengers trailer being released, as Amazon Prime teased its 15 Love series. The show takes a more serious turn and chronicles Justine Pierce, played by Ella Lily Hyland, who has a deep run at a Grand Slam tournament as a teenage prodigy, before her career is cut short by a wrist injury. 5 years later, the former player has a new life as a therapist at her old tennis academy, but when she makes an allegation against her former coach, the story takes a completely different turn. 15 Love is a fictional story, but it is inspired by real female athletes who've recently come out with their own allegations of abuse. At the moment, there isn't a solid release date for the show, but it looks very promising, so I'll be sure to watch it when it drops. And then, of course, part 2 of Netflix's tennis docu-series Breakpoint dropped last Wednesday, and it follows the action from the 2022 Wimbledon Championships, the US Open, and the year-end championships. I've watched the first few episodes of part 2, and I can already say that they are better than part 1, so definitely watch it if you get the chance. That's all I have for this video, and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on the past week of play, and if you believe Carlitos is a legitimate threat to Novak for the Wimbledon crown. Make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell too, so you're notified whenever I post my Breakpoint review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time here on Grand Slam Tennis News Today.